and we're back for another episode of the Lakers Fast Break podcast. It's Gerald Glassford coming right back at you here from Lakers Fast Break, Pop Culture Cosmos, Inside Sports Fantasy Football, and Game Source. We truly appreciate everyone out there listening to all of our shows, and if you can, please give us a 5-star review on Apple Podcasts. Plus, if you can like, share, subscribe, follow, or do anything that you can to support us right here at the Lakers Fast Break. 806 Sports, The Sip-Off, NBA Carousel, and also our great friends at the Hoopheads Podcast Network. It is sincerely appreciated. Well, I wanted to get this awesome individual who does so much in the world of sports on talking about her San Antonio Spurs. But before we do, we got to mention that there was a very abrupt and surprise firing on today's news wire that came out that the Minnesota Timberwolves did, unfortunately, for Gersson Rosas, GM of the Minnesota Timberwolves, unfortunately got let go after only 2 years in the job, rather abruptly, just less than a week before training camp. A very surprise move. And here today to talk about that, plus her thoughts on the San Antonio Spurs, of course, and the Los Angeles Lakers, again, is the host of 806 Sports, The Sip-Off, NBA Carousel. She does it all. It is Megan Price. And Megan, thanks for being on the program today.
Thank you so much for having me on. Yeah, kind of a strange day in the news with that. It was not something that I don't think any of us anticipated, this firing. Even the star of their franchise tweeted something that I'm not going to repeat, but obviously he was very surprised.
Yes, came off guard to everyone. Very unusual timing that you would do it after the free agency period. Right. After the draft, after evaluating everything that's going on and not giving him a chance to go ahead and make any changes during the season, only 2 years in. I know there's a new ownership in place that the GM was not an incoming part of. He was already an existing part of it, when it took over. But still, I think that it's got to be something behind the scenes. There's got to be some type of juicy news behind the scenes that we don't know, or we're not aware of, or that Woj or Shams is not reporting at this time, that they probably will leak out later on. But I want to hear your thoughts on that. I mean, this is very abrupt to do this. I know the last time this was done was, I think, with Phoenix was what I was hearing today, that they fired Will McDonough just before the season. And, of course, James Jones was upgraded, was given the GM job. And, well, we know how well it's gone there from Phoenix. So, maybe history repeats itself, but I think he should have been given a chance. This team, it does still have its issues, but it looks like a team at least on the way up.
And I agree. I think that they are moving on their way up. Now, they were in last place. And so obviously the only way they can move is up, and hopefully that's what they're able to do. But don't they have a new head coach also? Didn't they get a new head coach during the season?
Well, I think but Finch is somebody that was there during the off season. So it's not, he was coaching the team last year, Chris Finch. Okay. But what's weird about it is funny because I was doing some analysis for Ben Simmons' thoughts, and doing the trade machine and using that last night to work out scenarios for an upcoming show. And the guy who invented the trade machine, Sachin Gupta, is now the GM of the Minnesota Timberwolves. Fancy that. So every time everyone out there uses the ESPN trade machine, you are now using his creation, so to speak. So be that as it may, I wish him the best of luck, but it's he's got an interim tag. So it's, if he doesn't do well the job, or they don't like what he's doing, they're going to get somebody else in place. But it just seems very curious that you start the season on this kind of note for the Timberwolves.
Absolutely, but also not just extremely surprising. They've been struggling for some years, and not for lack of talent. They have several players that have been very good. Karl Anthony Towns is there, and while I have some criticisms to him, he is a great player. So, and they have a couple of others. They have D'Lo there. And so, they have a few good players, and you just have to wonder what's the problem, because they do kind of have a big three element. And that's generally what teams look for nowadays, is they want to build something around a big three, or maybe even big four if you're Brooklyn. So I'm not sure what they're going to do, but I'm not exactly too surprised by this. Now, I know that some of their players are surprised by this move, but they had to shake it up. What they're doing is not working.
Yeah, not working at all. I know that they're trying to go ahead and put their hand into the Ben Simmons trade fire, but I don't think they have enough assets personally. I really think that
Right.
it's going to be coming down to Golden State or Sacramento. Sacramento, I was actually using the trade machine for last night, and there's some nice fits there if Sacramento does decide to go ahead and say yes on it. I really think there's some intriguing fits using the trade machine, but be that as it may, I just think it's so funny though, and that Gersson Rosas gets fired 2 years into the job, yet
Right.
David Kahn, all the way back when, one of the worst GMs ever in the NBA, got 4. Just to let everybody know out there, he got double the amount of years that Gersson Rosas did. So just to give everybody a heads up how ironic that is. But again, they're going to make some changes there. But there's also some changes in place for your team, the San Antonio Spurs, and then my team, the Los Angeles Lakers. They made a number of changes for both those teams. First thing I want to ask is about obviously the most stable thing that's been there for so many years, and that is, of course, Greg Popovich, coach there for eons. Obviously his place has been cemented as far as the coach, as far as where he sits in the pantheon of great coaches. That'll never be in doubt. But this is a team that, with all the young pieces in place, are another team that's trying to be on the way up, that is going to look at things from a different perspective. My question to you is, you've got this awesome assistant coach that's been there for a while named Becky Hammond, who seems to be passed over for every single NBA job. Gee, I wonder why. I'll leave it at that. But this, to me, I think is ultimately going to be her job when Popovich leaves. Why should it be now at a time where the team is in transition? Wouldn't it be a great time to go ahead and do that now as opposed to maybe waiting 1 or 2 more years? I understand it's Popovich's time to leave whenever he wants to, but seemingly now would be a great time to have that opportunity.
I see Becky has a really more active role with the team than she has in the last couple of seasons. So last season, I started to see her have a more active role with the players, even in the play calling. I saw her dealing with the players more than Pop was. And also, she actually did fill in for him one evening, so in one game, and she became the first woman to ever coach during that game as head coach. But Pop is 27 wins away, I think, from the win record, 27 to 30 wins away from the all-time wins record. And I think that's what comes into play here. And
wouldn't you know Vegas has it? Well, wouldn't you know the over-under in Vegas here for the Spurs in most areas and most hotels is 29?
Oh, 29. So, I think he wants to get that record, and I don't blame him. And also, I don't think he wants to just get that record and hold it with a few games over. I think he wants to hold it with a significant amount above that actual record. So I see him coaching this season and next season, and then he'll still have 1 more year on his contract after next season. Obviously, they're going to let him coach as long as he wants to coach. But, I think of a similar situation when Phil Jackson took over the GM position there in New York. And he was an excellent, excellent coach, but the game had outgrown him and his way of coaching and the way he was dealing with building a team. And I think that might play a role in San Antonio.
I agree with you on that, and especially after his time, obviously with the Olympic team and how they got off to such a sluggish start there, but obviously the talent prevailed there, and we know how that turned out. But I really think that Becky should get the opportunity. I think it's long overdue. I think we're seeing a lot of great hires, but I still think that Becky, she's already earned her dues. She's already earned the time. She needs to go ahead and be given that opportunity. We need to go ahead and just do this because she is very deserving of this opportunity. And if he's chasing the record, then obviously give him another year to go ahead and try and do so. And obviously, as long as he wants to do it. But I see a point in time where you should go ahead and give that opportunity to someone that is truly deserving and has put in the work. But to do it right now for a team that is on the up or hopefully on the up for you, You got a lot of youth that's still there, that's developing. You got a lot of talent that came in. Bryn Forbes was signed. Zach Collins was signed. Doug McDermott was signed on. I mean, then you had Thaddeus Young, and Al-Farouq Amino was traded in. Your thoughts on these moves off season for the Spurs? Were they something that, were they moves that really just will energize the team going forward?
I think so. I'm really happy with our second round draft pick. Let me look at
Josh Primo?
Yeah.
Oh, no, he was first.
Primo was our first round, and I wasn't really happy getting him in the first round. I think he's somebody that we could have gone second round. We definitely need some help in our center position, and the gentleman from Texas was still available at that point in time, and I thought that's exactly who I wanted for the team. I thought he was a great fit. And
Kai Jones, I think you're talking about.
Yeah, it's Kai Jones. And we passed him over. Now he got drafted to Charlotte. New York and ended up getting traded to Charlotte. So now he's going to be in Charlotte, and I think that's going to be a great fit for him as well. I'm just sad from a San Antonio point of view that I felt like he would have been great with our offense.
Every time he catches a lob from LaMelo, you're going to be very angry.
I'm going to be hurt. Yeah, definitely. So we'll see what Primo does, but I'm excited to see what some of our draft picks from last year actually do. I was impressed with Devin Vassell last season, and I was impressed with Cherry Jones during the G League and the Summer League. And then Thaddeus Young is somebody that I'm super excited to have on the team. He was a part of the DeMar DeRozan trade. And, you definitely want to get something in return. You want something instead of nothing. And he was a much better option than nothing, obviously. McDermott was a great pickup, but we just did not pull a big name like I thought we really needed to. We need somebody that's going to be able to replace those DeMar DeRozan stats. And I don't know if we have that just yet. Hopefully DeJounte steps up. And I think that's going to be an important part. We're going to need Derek White to step up as well. So Zach Collins, great pickup, but will he be healthy? We haven't seen him be healthy in 2 seasons. So that's going to be tough, but I think he's an excellent shooter. And us getting Forbes back, I think will definitely make a difference in us losing Patty Mills. Patty Mills was the last of our 2014 championship team left. And so sad to see him go, but wish him the best. I think he's going to be extremely deadly coming off the bench in Brooklyn there. And that's what we need from Forbes. We need him to come off the bench and hit threes, and he's very capable of doing that.
And that's one thing I wanted to ask you is last year I made a comment, I think it was after a last season after a San Antonio Lakers game, that San Antonio had 4, I think, veterans on that team who I think probably should have been traded before the end of the season to get really a lot more assets. And I know because of the sign and trade, because DeRozan signed the big contract, you got Aminu, and also you got Thaddeus Young, which, again, was a nice return for what you could do at that time. But I really thought that looking in hindsight, looking back on it, I really thought at that time you could have gotten a lot more assets for all those individuals. He gave Rudy Gay and also Patty Mills, they walked away for nothing. And I want to ask you this.
Aldridge,
Aldridge,
too.
Yeah, absolutely. Lamar.
So we lost out on a lot of our cap right there and a lot of our money that we have spent with these. And I felt like it was time to move on from LA. And I thought he looked great in Brooklyn coming off the bench, but we needed a starting center. And that's what we paid him to do. And unfortunately, we made a bad decision knowing that he was aging and that he just wasn't quite up to the tempo that we were moving towards. He didn't fit in. We changed our offense when we went to the bubble, and it became like a 4-guard system. Becky was there. It was a faster paced ball, and we looked good playing it. And I was hoping that we would carry that over to this past season. And we did somewhat, but not quite as well as we did in the bubble. And I would like to see us build off that again. And I think Becky was a big part of that. Becky has been a part of San Antonio basketball for 16 years. She was with the Stars for 8 years, and then she's been with us for 8 years as well. So, she's been a part of the San Antonio basketball culture for a long time. And I think that I agree with you. I think she is the next in line for that coaching position. And I just kind of hope that they have a behind the doors deal that we'll never know about, but that, she's in line to take over for Pop, because I think she's the one for the job. She knows the players the best. And I would love to see my team be the one to put the first woman in there. Whether she's the first one, if there's somebody else that gets the job before that, I think she's the right one for our team.
Well, one thing was kind of peculiar when Tim Duncan came in to help coach the team, and kind of worried that. And I saw it from the perspective. I already saw the potential that Becky Hammond had for what she was doing and how much work she put in. And here comes Tim Duncan along, just because I'm Tim Duncan, and he comes right in there. And he was going to become what I thought would be the heir apparent. Now, obviously, coaching wasn't to his liking, and it kind of worked itself out. And he's now back in retirement, and fortunately back in. But your thoughts, real quickly, on that scenario? Were did that cross your mind that it looked like that for at least a brief moment that Tim Duncan was going to be the heir apparent instead of Becky Hammond?
It did, and I felt like it was somewhat unfair. I felt like Becky had put the work in as far as coaching, and I know Timmy is the definition of San Antonio culture, and we love him. He was a great player, but to be a coach, I think you have to have a level of assertiveness that Tim Duncan doesn't have, and Becky doesn't have a problem hopping up out of her chair and getting in a ref's face. And sometimes that's what you need to do, or even getting in a player's face and letting them know, like, hey, you're messing up. You need to take it a different direction. And I don't see that coming from Tim Duncan. Whenever Aldridge was hurt and the team went to the bubble, he stayed back and he trained and rehabbed Aldridge. And I think that's going to be a role that he will always fill in on with the team. He lives in San Antonio. He's still in the gym. He's still in the facilities working out there. So I believe that he will always be there to mentor players, but I don't think he needs that front role as head coach.
What about a player development role officially for him?
Right.
That would be kind of good.
Yeah, I think that would fit his personality way better than head coaching.
Absolutely, because I can see him just coming up to the refs and just doing his, his whole, the things he used to do as a player. Exactly. It's like, just getting thrown out of several games just for doing that. But again, I'm hopeful that Becky Hammond will finally get the role someday, as the head coach for the San Antonio Spurs. And your team, again, as we close out the San Antonio Spurs part of the conversation, your outlook for the team this season, how far do you think they can go? I mean, is playoffs a play-in? Is it now looking towards the draft and the lottery? Your thoughts on the actual where do you think they'll end up this season?
It's yet to be seen how our pickups in the off season play with our young core that we already have. So I'm not exactly. I don't want to have too high of hopes, but I also don't want to shortchange us. So I want to say probably 7th, 8th seed play-in tournament possibility. I'd be much happier with a 6th seed. I don't see us being any higher than that in the West. The West competition is extremely fierce. And you brought up the Sacramento Kings, and I felt like this was a team that was trending up last season. They had some injuries towards the end of the season, and that played a role in that, but I think they're a very exciting team to watch. And I also know that Boogie Cousins tweeted that he wants to go back to Sacramento. So that would be really interesting. I would love to see him there. And if they are able to gel just right, I see them possibly being as good as San Antonio.
One of our great audience members, V. Garcia, who lives in the San Antonio area, says, as always, grow Lakers, boo Spurs. So it's kind of funny that how he's in the area, but yes, he does not like the Spurs. But before we head on out, I wanted to ask you this: your thoughts on the Lakers. Obviously, we don't need to go into detail as far as how many changes specifically that they made, but we are just less than a week away as we speak in regards to the upcoming training camp. And I know there's a great outlook for the team by some people. Some people question it. Some people think they should all go to the retirement home. Some people think it's a great 2020, 2012 or 2014 All-Star team. I get all the jokes. I understand that. I know that the team has high aspirations. I know here in Vegas they have high aspirations for them. What are your thoughts on the Los Angeles Lakers this season?
I think they have a ton of star quality, and I don't think age is going to be that huge of a problem. My concern is, we, as Southern women, we have this expression about there's too many butts in the kitchen. You bumping butts whenever you got too many people in the kitchen. I think there's too many big personalities and people that are used to leading their teams or being the leader that I don't know if they'll be able to fit everybody's ego in.
Really? Really.
I'm concerned about Westbrook and LeBron playing together.
I don't think it's going to be an issue during the season because, during the season, you want to go ahead and give LeBron some rest. You want to go ahead and Westbrook's going to get his triple doubles and they're going to succeed to that. I just worry about the matchups in the playoffs. I worry because, again, as we saw from what we saw in the playoffs in the bubble, where LA was able to go ahead and really do a number on the Houston Rockets, and it primarily started with the lack of guarding of Westbrook. So you got to figure out where can you go ahead and work on those deficiencies if he still has them at that point in time, which he most likely will. Where can you turn those negatives into a positive? And that's going to be up to Frank Vogel to create that scenario in the playoffs. So I'm just going to say that right now, that's the during the season, it's not going to be an issue for me. I think they're going to win an X number of games. They're going to look good at times. In fact, they're going to look really good at times. But it comes right down to me what's going to happen in the playoffs and the matchups that you create because of it, and also health. It always comes down to health. If the Lakers aren't healthy, we saw what happened last season. If they are healthy, we saw what happened in the bubble. So it goes from there. But is there any one particular Laker acquisition this offseason that you truly like?
Didn't they obtain Ariza back?
Yes,
I like that.
Yes,
I like that a lot. I liked Ariza in Houston, and I liked her in Miami and LA. So I think he is a scrappy player. I think that he has no problem getting in and playing defense, and that's something that you guys need.
Absolutely. I'm just hoping there's still enough left in the tank because he is, I think, at or near the oldest of the entire crew at around 35, 36, 37-ish, right in that range. So
a little glimmer of hope for that. Rudy Gay is older as well, and he was a huge role for San Antonio. Tons of people told me that he was going to come and he was going to disappoint, and he really revived his career in San Antonio, and now he's playing with an excellent playoff caliber team in Utah. So, you could definitely still have somebody coming off the bench and playing a very vital role. LaMarcus Aldridge was old, and he looked great coming off the bench in Brooklyn. So you can be older and play your role well.
Absolutely. And if they just make sure they manage the minutes of all those old guys, that's going to be key as well. If they can all shoot to their potential, like, for instance, if you can get 36, 37% from Ariza, you can get the individuals that shot 40% last year just to shoot the same thing again with the Lakers, then you're really going to do a lot of great things for Westbrook and also LeBron, just to be able to clear a lot of it up if you have shooters that are efficient from the outside. So we'll definitely see what happens. But before we head on out, this is time for you to give the hard sell to everyone out there on not only on 806 Sports, the Sip-Off, NBA Carousel, or anything that you want to pitch. This is your time now, Megan. Megan Price, go ahead, give the hard sell on what you're doing and why people need to check it out.
Every Thursday, I do my own show. It's called The Sip-Off. We have drinks. We talk anything basketball, all the way from high school, up-and-comers, college, and the pros. If you want to watch, we definitely are advocates of the WNBA. This is the Dallas Wings shirt. So definitely want to support the WNBA. Excellent season that they're having, and the playoffs start tomorrow. Mondays and Wednesdays, you can catch me on Sports Arena with Eric Wilson, Alex Fleming, Michael Caratanudo, and Tyree. And that's Mondays at 10 Eastern, 806 Sports, Wednesday mornings at 9:35 on Women's Wednesday. And there's one more, I'm missing one. Snowman in the morning. I do that every week as well.
Okay, fair enough indeed. Had a chance to go ahead and talk to Brian real briefly this week, so I'm hoping the best for him. I know we had a scheduled meeting, but unfortunately, I guess he couldn't make it, so I'll have to reschedule. I love going on that show anytime I can.
Same.
So looking forward to hopefully meeting with him, and then getting back on the NBA Carousel. I got to catch that ride. I'm going to catch it. I'm going to go ahead and give the ticket to whoever I need to and get back on that NBA Carousel once again, because, again, if you're out there on YouTube, NBA Carousel, 806 Sports, Snowman in the Morning, and the Sip-Off, Megan Price, it's been just a sensational time having you here. Definitely, as I always say, red carpet's open. You're always welcome back to talk NBA, Spurs, Lakers, whatever you want to talk about. But any last thoughts on the way out?
Go Wings, watch the WNBA. I definitely try to push it. And if there's not a team in your area, pick a star that you like and follow that team and show some support to the ladies.
Well, we got the Aces out here in Las Vegas.
Oh, man, y'all are good.
Yes, I know.
So good.
Every now and then, I love it when I go by and I drive by here at Las Vegas, the Strip and Tropicana, and I go by the New York, and the Lady Liberty is wearing the Aces jersey. I love when they put that on her. Really a lot of respect and props to New York when they do that. Of course, the Lakers and the Sparks, they've been a traditionally strong team. This year, maybe kind of, we'll see from there. A lot of injuries have happened.
A lot of injuries.
Yeah, a lot of injuries there. But with the Aces, everything is looking good right there for them, possibly for a run in the playoffs. So definitely, if you can support the WNBA, it is greatly appreciated. They need all the help they can get and need all the support they can get. But in fact, NBA as a whole, please go ahead, check it out. Training camp is just around the corner. Will the situation in Minnesota resolve itself? What's going on there? Will we find out all the juicy details? What's going on with Ben Simmons in Philadelphia? I mean, Doc Rivers says, give me one more shot. Give me one more shot to try and convince Ben to stay. Yeah, we know how that's probably going to work out. But, we're all just figuring out the trade scenarios from there. But, Megan, I will tell you what, my best wishes for you and the Spurs this season. And, of course, anything you need from us here, or, at any time you want me to hop on the carousel, or anytime you want to come back here at the Lakers Fast Break, it is greatly appreciated.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much as well. Once again, for me, if you have any questions, LakersFastBreak@yahoo.com, at LakersFastBreak on Twitter. It's Megan Price from 806 Sports, the Sip-Off, the NBA Carousel, and I'm sure I'm forgetting about 3 or 4 other shows that she does. Snowman in the morning. I just, she's got that long list. Please go ahead. What's the social media? Where can they follow you on social media?
Twitter, Instagram, or Facebook. It's Megan Price, or you can look up Queen of Hoop.
There you go. Nothing better than that right there for you. All right. Once again, it's Megan Price. Megan, thank you so much for joining us. V. Garcia, got nothing but love for you, my friend. I'll be on later this week with the Lakerholics. I've got more great team fans hopefully on the way to go ahead and talk about their teams and what they think about the Lakers this season. Those shows hopefully are coming up as well right here at the Lakers Fast Break Podcast.